The USDA Food Values Database page is accessed from the food item ingredients page DARD when working with ingredients. Nutritional values can be obtained from most food packaging labels. They can also be looked up in the USDA CHART database or the USDA website. When working with an ingredient, if there are values in these controls, that means that this ingredient, in this case avocado, has been researched using the USDA database. This field defines the name of the food item as described in the USDA database. This field and this field describe the method in which the food item was analyzed by the USDA. In this case, the food avocado fruit without skins and seed was analyzed by the 1 ounce value. This value is the unique record ID of this food item in the USDA database. Navigate to the USDA database page by clicking the command button. The record that is initially displayed in the database will be the one defined by these values. However, if these fields are blank and you click this command button, you'll navigate to the first record in the USDA database. There are 2 parts to this page. The top part contains information that is contained in the food item ingredients page. The bottom part contains information that relates to the currently selected USDA food values item. The 2 parts of this page are actually 2 separate forms. The 2 parts can be used independent of each other, but they often operate as a synchronized pair. These controls contain values related to the synchronized state of the 2 forms. The values in these controls mirror the values on the food item ingredients page related to USDA research information. Whenever the values in these controls mirror each other, the forms are synchronized. The values in these controls identify a USDA ingredient by its unique ingredient ID number. That number is found in this column on the USDA part of the page. The value in these controls, which pertain to the method the USDA used to evaluate a specific food item. Other values found in these 2 columns on the USDA section of the page. When the top and bottom part of the page are synchronized, posting method command buttons will be displayed. The posting method used to move the USDA nutrient values to the CookBookPlus food item ingredient is shown in this control. The USDA database internal to CookBookPlus on the web exposes a subset of the data fields found within the USDA database. This column contains the unique USDA record ID number. This column contains the name of the food item as described in the USDA food values database. These 2 columns describe the manner in which the USDA is presenting the nutrient values. In this example, the nutrient values for avocado are being presented based on 1 avocado fruit without skin and seeds. This column exposes the USDA nutrient values that are used in CookBookPlus. The nutrients used in CookBookPlus are fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. This column displays the grams of the respective nutrients found in this measure of the food item. This column displays the calories derived from each nutrient in the measure of the food item, and this column contains the number of ounces of the food item in the designated measure of the food item. The values shown here are mirrored in a second control on the USDA part of the page. This column contains the nutrient ID number for these respective nutrients as defined in the USDA database. To navigate among the food item ingredient records in the top form, use the large blue drop-down. Note that in the example we're currently viewing, these controls mirror each other. Because they mirror each other, that means that the top and bottom forms are synchronized. Accordingly, the USDA ingredient used to research the food item ingredient is the ingredient displayed in the USDA part of the page. I'll use the large drop-down to navigate to the egg beaters ingredient. There's egg beaters by the cup, I'll select it. To navigate to it, I'll click the View Selected Ingredient command button. Note that the top and bottom forms are no longer synchronized. Egg beaters is displayed in the top part of the page, but the first record in the USDA database is displayed in the bottom part. We'll use the drop-down to navigate back to our avocado ingredient. It's selected. I'll click the View Selected Ingredient command button to display it as a reminder. Avocado ingredient in the food item. Ingredient sound part of the application was researched using the USDA database. Accordingly, the top and bottom part of this page are now synchronized again. In the current example, the USDA part of the page displays nutrient information for 1 avocado. However, USDA often evaluates the same item using different measure values. When the USDA part of the page displays an ingredient that has previously been researched in the USDA database, This part of the page will open in filtered format. That means only one type of item is displayed. That is one way of measuring the item to see if there are other ways the USDA evaluated this food item avocado. Click the View All Related Items command button. With this new display, we can see that the USDA evaluated avocados by the one fruit without skin and seeds and the one cup where the avocado was pureed. The currently selected item in the USDA list is the highlighted item. In this case, avocado, evaluated by one fruit. The selected item in the USDA list is the item identified in these controls. However, this pair of controls do not mirror each other. That confirms that the top and bottom part of this page are not currently synchronized. To navigate to a different USDA item in that list, use this drop-down to make a different selection. You can select any one of the 3 items for each measure pair presented. I'll click on 1 cup puree total lipid fat, then click the View Only Item Selected command button. After we made that selection, the USDA list has been filtered and now only displays a single item for 1 cup of avocado puree. Because the USDA section of the form is now filtered, these command buttons display. Note, however, that the values in these controls no longer mirror each other. And that's because the top part of the page displays information for an avocado 1 fruit, and the bottom part of the page is displaying information for 1 cup of avocado that's been pureed. To resync the top and bottom parts of the page, click the View Selected Ingredient command button. Once again, the USDA part of the page now displays information for 1 avocado fruit. To navigate to a completely different USDA food item, use this large blue drop-down. For this example, we'll navigate to raw eggplant. There it is, we'll select it, and to use it, we'll click the View Selected USDA Item command button. The USDA listing is initially unfiltered. Note that eggplants are displayed, 1 cupped cubed, 1 whole eggplant, or 1 eggplant unpeeled, etc. Also note that the top and bottom parts of this page are not synchronized. That's because the top part is displaying an avocado ingredient in the bottom part, an eggplant ingredient. I'm going to use this drop-down to see if we have eggplant already existing in CookBookPlus. And we do have eggplant. We have it listed by cubes by the cup, so we'll select that. And then we'll click the View Selected Ingredient command button. Note that once again, the top and bottom parts of the page are synchronized. That's because obviously the ingredient in CookBookPlus has been researched already using the USDA database. And the only ingredient for USDA, for eggplant, is eggplant by 1 cup, which is the same as the ingredient up here. To create a new CookBookPlus food item ingredient, when working in the USDA database page, start by clicking the command button New Ingredient. We're going to be making a series of new ingredients made from oysters. The first one we'll create will be oyster ingredient by the cup. We're going to call it oyster ingredient. After entering the name, we'll pick the measure pause, and we're going to select cup. Then we'll click the New Ingredient command button. A second time. Our new ingredient currently has no nutrition values. We're going to use the USDA database to get these values. First thing we're going to do is in the USDA part of the form, we're going to look for oysters. Oysters in the USDA database are known as mollusk, and we'll page down till we find mollusk, and that's MOLL. And what we're looking for is oyster, eastern wild raw. We'll select it with the Enter key, and since it's selected here, we'll click the View Selected USDA Item command button. According to the list the USDA has evaluated, oysters 2 ways, by the cup and by 6 medium oysters. Since we're currently trying to create a 1 cup oyster ingredient, we'll select one of the 1 cup items here, so to do that we'll open this drop-down. The first one was selected, but I'll select the third one just for example. Then click the View Only Item Selected command button. This filters the list and you can see the item we selected is the one that's highlighted. Again, because we've filtered this list, these command buttons now display. These 5 command buttons call up different methods for directly posting USDA nutrient values to a CookBookPlus food item ingredient. One of the methods available to us is called the As Is method. This method will copy the values listed for the USDA item directly to the food item ingredient. So by clicking As Is, we'll copy these values directly to these fields. I'll click the command button. Note the warning message at the top of the screen. It's telling us that the USDA item number, that's this value here between these 2 forms, does not match. And that's because this form has never been researched previously using the USDA database. Note that because the name field is currently in edit mode, we're also allowed to change the name if we want to. We can use the cancel button, that's this one here, if we want to abort this process. I'll commit the post by clicking the As is command button a second time. And as you see, the values that were here were copied up here, and the controls here now show that the two forms, food item ingredient form and the USDA database form, are now synchronized. We'll create another oyster ingredient, this time by the ounce. Start off by clicking New Ingredient. Give it a name. Pick the measure. Click New Ingredient again. To post USDA nutrient values to our new ingredient, we're going to be using the per ounce method. That's because we're trying to create a per ounce ingredient. We'll click the per ounce method, and realizing we have the warning message at the top of the screen, we'll click the per ounce method a second time. Note that the value in these two set of fields are different. That's because the USDA ingredient we worked with is by the cup, and the food item ingredient it was just created is by the ounce. Note in this column that there are 8.74 ounces of oysters in a cup. So what the program did was it took these values, divided them by 8.74, and entered them in these fields. We'll create another new ingredient. This time it'll be oyster ingredient by the pound. I want to copy the current name, click New Ingredient. Paste the name, pick pound as our measure, and click New Ingredient a second time to get the nutrient values from these records over to our new ingredient. By the pound, we'll use the per pound command method. So I'll click per pound, and I'll click it the second time to commit the transfer. Now we have a food value ingredient, oysters by the pound, because the values in these fields mirror each other. That tells us that oysters by the pound was researched using the oysters by the cup USDA item. And just so you understand the mechanism, the software took the value in 1 cup of oysters, divided it by 8.74, and then multiplied it by 16 ounces in a pound to get a 1 pound ingredient. For our next example, we'll create an oyster ingredient by the pint. There are 2 cups in a pint. We'll start off by clicking the New Ingredient command button. I'll paste the name, then I'll pick pint in the measure field. Click New Ingredient a second time, since we're researching a 1 cup ingredient. We can use this ingredient to create a pint by using the multiply x function. We'll click it, and we want to multiply 1 pint by 2 to create a pint value, so we'll click the multiply x button a second time, and now we have the ingredient based on a pint of oysters, which is 2 times a cup ingredient. For our next ingredient, we'll create an ingredient for a single oyster. To do that, we're going to unfilter this list by clicking this command button. Then we're going to select the evaluation item where the USDA evaluated oysters on a basis of 6 oysters. So I'll make that selection. And to create an ingredient for 1 oyster, we'll use the divide x method. I'll click it. I'll divide the value for 6 by 6 to get the value for 1. I'll click divide x the second time. Now we have a new ingredient for a single oyster. To research nutrient values on the USDA website, click this command button. I'll navigate back to CookBookPlus on the web. For detailed instructions on how to work with the USDA website, click this command button to watch a brief video. When finished viewing the video, use the browser back button to return to CookBookPlus on the web. When finished working in the USDA webpage, return to the ingredient page by using this command button, and return to the main form by using this command button.